Hi, I'm Rachel. If you're thinking of hosting a Menopause Cafe, here are some questions I've been asked to put on a video for you. My top tip is get a friend or someone else you know locally. I think you need at least 2 people to host a Menopause Cafe. Partly this is in case one of you is ill and can't turn up, so the event doesn't get cancelled, but more so if any of the participants need individual attention, maybe they're upset or angry or they're dominating the conversation. If there are 2 of you, one of you can go and give the attention that person needs to them, whilst the other person keeps the whole group discussion going. So that's top tip number 1. Make sure there are 2 of you. Ask us for help if you're alone in your area, and we can maybe match you up with someone else who wants to hold a Menopause Cafe. Now, maybe a bit on what a Menopause Cafe is and what it isn't. It's a pop-up event where anyone, male and female, young and old, can come and talk about the menopause, because we feel there's a need for that. It doesn't seem to happen in ordinary spaces. So what we're not a menopause support group. If you want to set up a menopause support group, brilliant, go and do that. Just don't call it a Menopause Cafe. So that would presumably be a group just for menopausal women. Call it something else. Similarly, there's a need for speaker events where maybe a medic or someone gives advice or a talk on menopause. That's also really useful, but it's not a Menopause Cafe, so please call it something else. If you've got a speaker or any expert, bill it as such and don't call it a Menopause Cafe. That's why we've ended up having to trademark the Menopause Cafe name, to try and protect the ethos of what we do. And here's the ethos on a more positive note. Menopause Cafes are held with no intention of leading anyone to any conclusion or product or course of action. So it's a completely open discussion. Menopause Cafes are open, respectful and confidential spaces where people can express their views without trying to convince anyone else to agree with them. So if one person loves HRT, the other person doesn't, the next person swears by magnetic pants, it doesn't matter. We're just here to listen to each other and exchange views, not to proclaim any truth. The events are run on a not-for-profit basis. Ideally, you find a cafe or venue who will provide you with tea and coffee and cake that the participants pay for themselves, so there's no cost to you as the host. If you do incur any costs, you could have a whip round for donations, but just enough to cover it. Any excess would need to be given to the Menopause Cafe charity. So that's the gist of it. So it's not a support group, it's not a talk. Oh, it's not there for research purposes either. And it should just be an open, friendly event where there are discussions. We recommend you get people into small groups around the cafe tables. And in my ideal world, everyone would just get up and move around to whichever table has an interesting discussion for them. But I've discovered that certainly in Britain, people feel rude getting up and moving around. So they've asked us to ring a bell every 20 minutes or so, and at that point encourage people to get up and move to different tables. So they end up having a conversation with several different people, hopefully on different aspects. Right, all of this and more is written down on our website. If you go to www.menopausecafe.net, click on, I think it's Join the Conversations, Menopause Conversations, and then hold a Menopause Cafe. And we have screeds written down on how to run one. All you need to do is read and sign our working agreement, send it in to us, and we'll help you publicise the event. We'll put it on our Facebook page, on our website. So enjoy running your event and meeting lots of new people in your neighbourhood to drink tea, eat cake, and talk menopause. Thank you from sunny Scotland.